students. I'm Teacher Cinta and I will be your teacher for today. Welcome to another day of learning in science. Are you excited for today? Because I am too. Before we start our discussion, I want you to take a look at this picture.
What are your insights or your observations in the picture? Very good! We all know that there are living things around us. Some living things are quite big while others are small. But did you know that there are living things which are even smaller that you cannot see using your naked eye? That's right! And to be able to learn and understand the nature and the characteristics of these living things, we need to use a special instrument like this one. This is a microscope. Before we proceed, we have here the objectives of the lesson. The student should be able to define microscope, state the parts and function of a microscope, label the parts of the microscope, and apply some tips to properly care for the microscope. Microscope comes from the ancient Greek micros, meaning small, and iskopin, which means to look. It is a tool which can help you to see tiny objects and living organisms. It makes the organisms look bigger. It is also used to see or magnify many things that cannot be seen by our naked eye. It is an important investigative tool for studying objects and organisms around us. Microorganisms like bacteria can be observed through the use of the microscope. Compound microscope or optical microscope is the most common type of microscope. Now let's talk about the different parts and function of compound microscope. The parts of compound microscope can be divided into three groups: the magnifying, the illuminating, and the mechanical parts. Magnifying parts of the microscope include the objective lenses and the eyepiece. The illuminating parts, which provide and manage light source in order to see clearly the image of the object. It includes the diaphragm and the mirror. On the other hand, the mechanical parts provide support and protection to the other parts of the microscope. It includes the coarse adjustment knob, the fine adjustment knob, the stage and the stage clip, the arm, the base, and the revolving nosepiece, and the body tube. Now, let's elaborate the functions and each parts of the microscope. What part of the microscope is this one? Very good! It is the eyepiece. It is also called the ocular. It contains a lens that magnifies for about 10 times. It is also where we peep through. How about this part of the microscope? Alright! It is the body tube. It connects the eyepiece lens from the revolving nosepiece and the objective lens. How about this part of the microscope? Very good! It is the nosepiece, also called the revolving nosepiece. It holds the low power and high power objective lenses. Now let's proceed to the other part of the microscope. The objective lenses. Under the objective lenses, we have here the low power objective lens. Can magnify for about 10 times. We also have here the high power objective lens. Can magnify for about 40 times. In low power objective lens, if the image is smaller than you need, might as well use the HPO lens until you get the best image. Now let's go back to the different parts of the microscope. This knob right here are also important. This is the coarse adjustment knob. By turning this, it moves the body tube for focusing with the low power objective lens. This small knob here is also important to make the images clear. This is the fine adjustment knob. By turning this, it sharpens the image under the high and low magnification. Therefore, if you see that the image is blurred, just turn the fine adjustment knob until you find the perfect image. What part of the microscope is this one? Very good. This is the arm. It supports the body tube. How about this one? Precisely. This is called the slide. This is where you put the specimen. Another part of the microscope. What part is this one? This is what we call the stage clip. It holds the microscope slide in place. Another student, what part of the microscope is this one? It is the stage. Precisely. It supports the slide being used. Okay, class. So where do you think is the inclination joint located? Very good. It is located over here. So inclination joint allows microscope to tilt if needed. How about this part? Brilliant, students! So this part is called the base. It provides support to the microscope and be stable. Another part of the microscope is this one. Precisely, students. So this is what we call the pillar. It connects the base to the arm. Now, let's proceed to the last part of the microscope. What part of the microscope is this one? Very good. It is the mirror. It collects light from the surrounding and reflects light upward through the diaphragm. How about this part? Brilliant, student. This is what we call the diaphragm. It controls the amount of light passing through the opening of the stage. We need to put light on the specimen so we can see it clearly. That is why other microscopes use bulb to supply the light on the specimen. Now you know the different parts and function of the compound microscope.
Did you know, class, that there are also high-tech microscope that was able to observe cells, bacteria, and molecules? That is amazing, right? Now, let's proceed to your activity. So, this activity is called Chop Chop and Away. All you have to do is to label the different parts of the microscope. Write your answer in your activity sheet. And if you are done, let's answer your activity. Okay, for number 1, the correct answer is arm. For number 2, the correct answer is the eyepiece. Number 3, the correct answer is very good, mirror. And for number 4 and 5, the correct answer is the revolving nosepiece and the objective lenses. Very good. So for number 6, the correct answer is the coarse adjustment knob. And for number 7, the correct answer is the fine adjustment knob. Very good. Number 8, body tube. Number 9, stage. And number 10, diaphragm.
Taking care of the microscope, class? Very good. So these are the tips on how to properly care for the microscope. Number 1, always use 2 hands when moving the microscope. Number 2, make sure the microscope is not plugged in before moving it. This is only applicable for the electric microscope. For number 3, if using immersion oil, be sure to clean the immersion oil lens thoroughly after use. Number 4, keeping your microscope clean, especially the optics, will also ensure that it lasts longer. And for number 5, When the microscope is not in use, cover it with a dust cover or store it in a microscope case.
Okay, so class, let's have another activity. I want you to make a short essay about this statement. In this time of COVID-19 pandemic, how useful is the microscope in detecting the viruses? We also have here the criteria for answering your activity. So this will be your guide to answer your activity appropriately. Good luck!
What is one thing that you have learned in this lesson and how will you apply it at your school or in your community? I hope you have learned the different parts and function of the microscope class. Microscope is very useful, especially to you as a students, to all of us, because it is used in studying microorganisms, cells, molecules, structures, and is also a very important tool used to examine tissue sample. Now, let's have a short quiz. Okay, so what is the correct answer for number 1? Very good. The correct answer for number 1 is letter B. How about number 2? Brilliant students. So the correct answer for number 2 is letter D. Now let's proceed to number 3. Very good. The correct answer is letter B. How about number 4? Precisely, the correct answer is letter C. For the last number, we have here, the correct answer is letter D.
So that's the end of our lesson. Goodbye class and see you next meeting.